Hello everybody. So this is a video about the Liletta IUD, and I'm just going to answer a few questions that I created myself that I would have loved to have seen on YouTube before I got it. So the first question is, why did I want birth control, period? The answer is because I have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. I find myself overwhelmed and I just wasn't sure that I wanted any more children, um, especially at this juncture of my life. And I had heard that breastfeeding was a type of natural birth control, but I was still breastfeeding and I got pregnant again. So I knew I couldn't rely on that. I wanted something more permanent. I wasn't going to tie my tubes because I wasn't in the surgery. I didn't want the arm implant because I didn't want it just something injected into my arm. I didn't want the shot because every 3 months was not realistic for my lifestyle for me to go back and get it. And I'm sure there are some other methods, but the only other one that comes to mind is condoms, which um, are not as effective as one might think, especially if they're not used properly. So I wanted something that was a little bit more concrete. And so that's why I decided that the IUD was for me. And initially I was scared because I knew it was going to be painful. Everybody kept talking about how painful it is. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You're going to cramp. It's going to hurt. But I figured it couldn't be as painful as childbirth. So I would give it a shot. Let's see. How did I decide to get the Liletta? Well, initially at my doctor's office, they gave me a choice between Mirena and Liletta. They told me that Paragard, the copper IUD, was outdated, which I later found out was not true, that it's still very popular. But anyway, so they gave me a choice between those two. They told me they had Liletta in stock, but Mirena they would have to order. So I wanted Mirena because I did my research, which consisted of 30 minutes of me in the car before I called them back and told them which one I wanted. And Mirena had obviously been around way longer. Liletta, to me, it seemed like the generic version, and they were still studying it, and they just hadn't had enough. I guess they hadn't had enough case studies for my liking. Mirena had been out there longer, and so I just felt it was a little bit safer. So that's why I wanted Mirena. Long story short, my doctor pretty much gave the runaround, and obviously, why wouldn't they? They don't want to give you birth control. They want you to keep coming back to the OBGYN having babies. So I never got it from my doctor. I ended up going to a health clinic in my area, and they offered me the Paragard and Liletta. And I really literally went back and forth up until the minute she came in there and she had the IUD. The reasons that I wanted the Paragard was because it had been around for over 30 years. My cousin had it, and I figured like genetically we're similar. So she had a great experience. I figured I might have a great experience as well. Um, and they said it was safe for breastfeeding. Now, it wasn't until I got to the office when I read that Liletta is also safe too. I read that, but I just didn't believe it until I got in the office for some reason. So I am breastfeeding and wanted to make sure that it would be safe. Oh, but the major reason, that's what I meant to say. The major reason why I chose it is because of the lighter periods. The Paragard, I read that you can get really heavy periods, really heavy cramping. And I had that my whole life. I just wanted something different. I'm hoping that my period will reduce, and then hopefully go away because I don't need it, which I read is medically safe. My experience with insertion. Before I got it inserted, I took two 600, I guess, milligram ibuprofen because I heard that it was going to hurt. From a medical professional, a good friend of mine, she told me take medication before you go. So an hour before they inserted it, or about maybe 30 minutes, I took 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen that I got from my delivery. So it was pretty strong. I'm also 5'11" and pretty hefty, heavy, solid. So maybe that'll tell you how much you should take. I don't know. But I took way more than what was recommended. And I don't recommend you do that, but that's what I did. And let me tell you, the pain, it was not that bad. The lady who inserted it told me that if you just had a baby, it would go in easier. And she's like, you're going to feel a little pinch, a little cramp. It was so mild that, I mean, I've had periods worse than it. So it really didn't hurt at all. Let's see. Before I got it, she answered all my questions. I had read about Liletta and hormonal IUDs causing perforation. I believe that's how you say it. Basically, it punctures the uterus, and the woman assured me that I would feel some sort of pain if that was happening, and that they could remove it. The uterus would quickly heal, and then I could even get another one as soon as it healed within like 2 weeks or so. She was saying, but she said it's very rare, and that she highly doubts that will happen. She also, I mean, I had a lot of questions, but I'm just gonna skip through them. Just spare you with the details, but I wanted to know about that. I also wanted to know how safe it was for breastfeeding, what she recommended. And then we got to talking about IUDs and how they have been out since the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I had no idea. And I was telling her that I thought Paragard might be safe because it's been around for 30 years. And she was saying that in the 90s, she actually had that IUD and that she had recommended her daughter get Mirena. So if she had had an IUD and she recommended her own child to get one, and she was so excited about me getting one, I'm like, look, this must be a great thing. And she also said if my period doesn't stop, that it might be so light that it only lasts for one day, and it's like basically spotting. Healing time. I literally was able to walk out of the office and go get my kids, and nothing hurt. I haven't felt any pain. That was on Monday. Today's Monday again. So it's been 7 days, and on the day, Saturday, I was babysitting, and I think I was stressed because I was babysitting, and I felt a cramp that lasted maybe 30 seconds. It was painful, but not enough for me to double over, but enough to make me reconsider my life choices. And I don't know if it was pain from stress or pain from IUD. And today, or earlier, which was Sunday, I felt the same pain again, maybe 30 seconds or so. Not enough for me to regret the IUD, but enough to say, okay, maybe this is the pain they were talking about. But again, it only lasted like 30 seconds both times. And the first time, it really could have been stress. Both times, actually. I don't know. Also, up here, I know you can't really see, but I did get a little, I wouldn't say even rash, but my skin started doing something weird. Like it just feels dry. Like, I don't know if that's IUD related, but I didn't change soaps or anything, so I don't know where it came from, and it's not normal for me to break out. Would I recommend it? Yes, I definitely would, to anybody that doesn't have any outstanding medical conditions, especially if you just had a baby and, they say don't make any major life decisions for 6 months after having a baby. So if you're unsure where you are in your relationship, if you're unsure about motherhood, not motherhood, well, yeah, I guess motherhood. If you just have a lot of questions about your life and need to get some things together and need to buy some time, I think Liletta is for you. It really didn't hurt that bad, considering that I had a child. Maybe if I didn't have a child, especially that one that was 2 months old, and my service was still basically open, maybe I wouldn't feel the same way. When I left, they gave me this, which basically is everything you can read on the website. Tells you pretty much patient information. Anything you need to know is already on the website. And they also gave me this, which tells you, I don't want to put all my information out. It tells you basically when to go back and get your IUD changed out, which is in 6 years. But she said that they're still doing studies and they think Liletta might last up to 7 right now. So another thing I want to mention is the cost. So initially I thought it was free. Then they told me it would be $122, and that was for the Paragard. It would have been a little bit less for Liletta. And then they called me back to the desk when I had already paid to tell me that it would be about $400 or $500. And I think that was for Liletta. So Paragard would have been more. Because she had the cashier, I guess knew she had accidentally rung me up for the sliding scale prices. But this is not a cheap thing. just for you to willy-nilly get, unless you have, great insurance. So if you're going to pay for it, I think that you should be sure that's what you want, as opposed to something more short term like the pill where you could just stop at any time. This, if you want to pay $500, I think that you should leave it in for at least 3 years or so. um, Another reason I chose it is because I knew two people that had IUDs. They both had Skyla, which was for 3 years, and they were still alive, so I thought it was safe.